So in this video, we talk about kiln dried lumber and how is it part of the new home construction process. That's starting right now.
Welcome to Home Buyers School, brought to you by Brookfield Residential.
Hi everyone, I'm Carl Ye. Welcome to another Home Buyer School video, a channel where you get the latest strategies, tactics, and tips from home buying experts. And remember, this is your first time on this channel and you want to get the latest strategies from the experts, hit the subscription button below, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss anything. So today I'm joined by Kurt Gibson, Director of Field Operations with Brookfield Residential. And the question we're going to answer today is, what is kiln dried lumber and how is it part of a new home?
Well, kiln drying lumber is a process you go through to bring lumber from the forest to a job site. And often, you have to remember you've got a tree and you've got to cut it down, and you've got to mill it and then put it into a process. And essentially what happens is they basically put it in a large oven, and then it basically gets moisture content removed out of it for most kinds. And the normal range for moisture content is they want to try and get it down between 13 and say 18-19%. Again, depending on the climate we're in, that it'll go up or it'll go down depending on where it's at. But the idea is to get kiln drying lumber so that you have it usable on the work site. I think there's some real myths to that. Some of the myths are that people think there is never any twisting and warping that can occur. I will say that it's very common that can happen, but it is to help reduce that. If you took obviously material right out of the forest, you'd have tremendous warping and twisting. So it's trying to help reduce that in a lot of cases.
So is it any type of lumber? So when you talk about kiln dried lumber, so it could be any type of tree that could be used? Yeah,
and I mean obviously that there's got to be a lot more thorough process for if you're using wood on kitchen cabinet doors, or you've got to use it for hardwood flooring. Typically on a hardwood floor or cabinet doors, it would probably be as low as 6% sometimes relative humidity. And so you're getting that down a lot more because it's more of a finished product. It makes a substantial difference on that. And when I mentioned that the 13 to 19%, that is mostly lumber. If you have hardwood, like I said, finishing material or cabinets, it's going to be a lot lower than that.
So when you talk about 13 to 19%, what does that mean?
It's basically the amount of moisture content, or I mean, probably the easiest way to say it is the water content that you have in the product.
Okay.
So they're really trying to reduce it. I mean, obviously, like a lot of us, like human beings, we have a lot of water, and us trees have a lot of water, and they're trying to reduce it down.
Okay.
In a Calgary climate, it'll be very dry, and you'll see
you want to reduce it a little bit lower.
You will.
Okay.
But sometimes people want, like if you've got hardwood floors, you want to have a certain level of moisture because it's a living organism. Even though it's dry and it's have been taken out of the tree, you still want to have a moisture content in there to give it to its best health.
So let's say, for example, if the lumber is going to, let's say, Vancouver, somewhere it's a little bit more wet, I guess the water content would be a little higher.
It can be, it can be designed for that for sure. Because obviously, it's like anything else. I mean, wood is like any product. You want to be able to make sure it's comfortable in its surroundings, and it'll adapt. And that sort of thing. When you're building a house and you're putting it all together, it does take a while for it to adapt. But you're right, it depends on the climate. I mean, there are certain products like a hardwood floor in Calgary. You'd never want to probably put like a bamboo floor in Calgary because it requires such a high moisture content, and it's just what's going to happen is you're going to get cupping, or you're going to get shrinkage and cracking in that material. And so it's not a great product to putting in Calgary, where regular hardwood floor, maple floor is much better because it's a harder product. So,
and I think the big question here is, does this type of lumber actually absorb moisture?
Well, every wood still absorbs moisture. It always does. It's trying to find the right balance so that it performs in the right way. I mean, that's always the key that they're trying to get to by having that kiln drawn lumber that they're trying to achieve, whether it's a finished product or whether it's raw lumber, is what they're trying to do to make sure it performs in the right way. So, I mean, there's always air content or water content in the air.
So one last question. I know we, in previous videos, we talked about engineered hardwood. Does that have anything to do with the kiln dried lumber?
Well, engineered hardwood, typically there's a small top layer that still has a wood. It's not as like the old hardwood is typically 3/4 inch thick, and the engineered hardwood is a small top layer, so it can still be affected by it. But it's generally not as conducive to the moisture issues because it also has a manufactured substrate so that it stops it from warping and cracking and stuff too. So
perfect. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
That's another edition of Homebuyer School. Tune in next time for more expert tips and tricks. And visit homebuyersschool.ca to bring you one step closer to finding your dream home. As with everything, it would be great if you like and share our videos. Also, please let us know if you have any home buying questions you want us to answer.